Hello and welcome to part 2 of my Java tutorial series. Today we're going to be going over primitive data types in Java. So in this video I'm going to be going over the two main primitive data types in Java, which are int and double. Okay. These are the two main ones that you're going to be using, and they're both numbers. So if you want to create a new integer, you're going to do int name equals and whatever value you want. So I'm going to do 3. And I'm going to declare a double, you do the same thing. So and I'm going to make this 6.2. So in Java, int can only be a whole number, but doubles can be like that, like how int is, but they can also be decimals. Okay, but in int, if I do a decimal here, that's gonna not be legal. Okay, so it must be a whole number, ints. Okay, so let's talk about math operations on these. So if I do sysout name, that's self-explanatory. That's gonna print out 3, and same goes for name double. It's gonna print out 3.4. All right, so nothing special there. And what you can do in Java is, so you want to create a new int, and I'm gonna name this divide. Okay, and I'm gonna make it equal to name double, which is 3.4 divided by name. Okay, and you're gonna see I get an error here, and this is because when I'm making a new variable of type int. Okay, so it has to be a whole number, but when we're doing name double over name, it's dividing a double by an integer, which is gonna so it's gonna return a double. So this expression is a double, but we're setting it equal to an int, so that's not legal. So we have two options here. We can either make divide a double, or we can cast to int. And I'll talk about casting later, but right now I'm just gonna make this a double. And we can do sysout divide, and it's gonna print out the result. Okay. There's also modulus, and modulus is basically the remainder. So actually I'll go over that later. Right now I'll talk about, okay, so yeah, so when you divide or multiply a double by an int, it's gonna return a double. But if you have two ints, so let's say we have int name 2 and it's equal to 6, and we do int divide is equal to name 2 divided by name 3. This would be legal, and this is legal because the things we're dividing are both ints, and when things are both ints, they return an int. Okay, so this would return 2. But what would happen if this was a 4? If this was a 4 and this was a 3, they're gonna divide, but they can't be a double because this is an int. So what has to happen is when you divide 4 by 3, Java does something called truncating, which is basically rounding down. So when we do 4 divided by 3, what do we get? We get 1 remainder 1. So what it's gonna do is it's just gonna take, that's a bad example. So let me make this a 7. And let me make this a 15. Okay, so 15 divided by 7. That's a 2 remainder 1, but Java is automatically going to round down to the nearest whole number. So it's just, this is going to be 2. Oh my god. So this divide is just going to be equal to 2 because Java does truncating. So if we do sysout, it's going to be 2. Okay. But keep in mind, if we used a double, it'd be a double. Now let me talk about casting. So casting is basically temporarily converting one primitive data type into another. So if I do int divide equals name double over name, that's going to give an error, okay? But we can do something, we can type int in front of the expression. Okay, now what this does for us is this thing will be evaluated first, and then we're going to convert it to an int. So basically, 3.4 divided by name. Okay, that's going to be 0 in integer, that's going to be 0 point something because name is greater than name double. So it's going to be 0 point something. And then when we do int, it's going to truncate it for us. So if we do sysout divide, it should be 0, right? Now modulus. Modulus is, as I was talking about earlier, modulus is the remainder. So if we do, the thing for modulus is the percent symbol. If we do this, that's going to do name2 divided by name, and it's going to return the remainder. So 15 divided by 7, that's 2, remainder 1. So, and this modulus returns the remainder, so it's going to return 1. So it's going to return a 1, and because that's what modulus does. Now let's talk about not a primitive data type, but a special class in Java called string. Okay, so string is basically a class, but it's a special class in Java. So string is basically used for like words. So when you want to declare a string, you do string, the name of the variable, equals, and then in apostrophes or whatever those are called, I forgot, you type in the text. So whatever, random text, right? And this is string is a class, so it has methods. So you can get the length of the string. So if we did that, if we did this, it would return the length of the string including spaces. So it's 20 in this case. Okay, so that's one way to declare this. Up here is one way to declare strings. The other way to declare strings is like this. Keep in mind, you always have to have these apostrophe things. It's escaping my memory, but you have to have these things. So that's another way to declare it. And when we want to output the text in them, we simply just call the name of the variable. So we can do name2, and that's going to return this random text here, and it's outputting it. That's it for today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Other than that, I'd be open to suggestions. Yeah, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.